further than mine.
Then you can adjust it. Tell me if you can hear the music.
Yeah. I can.
Good deal. All right, all right, all right. We're gonna give some more time for folks to pop on in with us. Pop on in with us. We're looking forward to our discussion, our conversation on this evening. Amen. Cause you're my nose.
The music's a little louder again.
Oh yeah.
I didn't. You gonna leave it on? Or you gonna cut it off?
No, leave it on.
Oh, okay.
Give it another minute. Then it will just jump right in. Sweet babes. You know that? Always in favor. I'm like a double. Just in case I need this. All right. All right, all right, all right. Good evening, family. Listen, this is your boy, Ken Bishop. Look, I got Lady B with me. You guys are going to see her in just a moment. But listen, this is Faith and Fire Podcast presents What They Don't Tell You About Marriage, or the things they don't tell you about marriage. This is a conversation and exchange between myself and Lady B, just sharing our hearts, sharing our thoughts, sharing with you all what God placed in us. And that is the joy of loving one another. That is the joy and the passion and the compassion of being in covenant committed relationship with the one he designed for you. So we want to share that love. We want to share that hope. We want to share our ups and downs, which ain't been very many downs, but our our stopgaps, our pitfalls, our comments, our the insight that God gives us. We sharing our life, and this is the way that we do that because we want to be able to instill hope in those that are seeking to be married. We want to be able to instill hope in those that are currently married and are wanting things to progress or wanting things to get better. We don't have all the answers, but what we do have is love. What we do have is hope. What we do have is Christ in our lives. So that's what we're about. You know, Faith and Fire podcast is all about sharing God's wisdom, insight, revelation, hope, and love one conversation at a time. Again, this is no different because this is me and my beloved, me and my pretty girl, me and my lady B. And that's what we're going to be sharing us with you all. Now, interestingly enough, we have a very, very dope topic that Lady B hit me with. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's got to be where we're going this evening. I'm looking forward to it. But before we do that, what I really wanted to share with you guys is an amazing quote from C.S. Lewis. And this is from Mere Christianity. And what C.S. Lewis, what he says is, ceasing to be in love need not mean ceasing to love. Love in the second sense, love as distinct from being in love, is not merely a feeling. It is a deep unity maintained by the will and deliberately strengthened by habit. Hear that again. It is a deep unity maintained by the will and deliberately strengthened by habit, reinforced by, in Christian marriages, the grace which both partners ask and receive from God. They can have this love for each other even at those moments when they do not like each other, as you love yourself even when you do not like yourself. They can retain this love even when each would easily, if they allowed themselves, be in love with someone else. Being in love first moved them to promised fidelity. This quieter love enables them to keep the promise. So what Lady B hit me with, man, babe, come on, what we talking about? What we talking about, babe?
Loveless marriages.
Loveless marriages.
And I came up with this because I think it was last weekend. We were watching a movie.
Yeah.
And the husband came home from work. I don't even think they even greeted each other. Him and the wife sat down for dinner. No conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was it for the night. Went to bed. The Tubi movie. I'm not even going.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It was a Tubi movie,
Tubi.
y'all. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty much like, I ain't even going to say roommates, because even if you have a roommate, you're going to talk and you're going to greet one another.
Yeah.
So, and then I was like, just think, there's really marriages out here like that.
Yes. Yeah. Where there's moments of exchanges, but not really moments, or instances of exchanges, but not really moments. Wow. So loveless marriage would be enough to have to deal with. But before we go to the covenant, like, what about just loveless relationship? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you ain't even got to the altar yet.
Right.
You ain't got to the altar yet. At this point, they just bae. How do you handle? Have you ever been in a loveless relationship?
Child, yeah.
Not with the child.
Child,
Not with the
yeah.
child, yeah. I mean, what did that feel like? Because it's like,
I mean, it was, everything starts out good at first.
True.
And then it's like, before you know it, it's like, I don't care if I'm around that person or not.
Yeah.
you know. Or if you're around them, it's like,
Right.
you
You
know,
again.
right.
This one. I got to see you again. One more time. Well, so and I asked that because like essentially when we talk about loveless marriages, like it's not that it doesn't happen to both sexes, right? It's not that it doesn't happen to men, just like it happens to women. But when we think about loveless marriages, loveless relationships, usually the connotation is involving a woman or the woman is the center of that narrative. So while and I'll touch on that side here in just a moment for the men, but when did you realize that that relationship was love? Did you realize that like right away or and ignored it or did you
I didn't realize it right away. You know, we moved in together and things like that. And then, yeah, like over time, it was like, I don't even really think I like you.
Ooh.
I don't even really think
Well,
I like you. But by that time, which is sad, but you're already in it.
you going somewhere. You going somewhere. Wait a minute now. So you mean to tell me you can be in a loveless relationship, loveless marriage, but still stay in it?
Yep.
Because why?
That part. Because maybe at the time I thought that was love.
Yeah, the fact that you showed up again. Yeah. When you obviously could have not, especially given how things feel, but you showed up again. So, yeah, maybe that is love.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Even though sometimes it didn't feel like love,
Right.
but nobody left.
Right. So, come on, babe. You
I
gotta
stayed.
say that.
He stayed.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It may have been a few good times, and it's like, oh, well, maybe I can put up with you a little bit longer.
I mean, maybe this is what love is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm gonna tell you, it's not. That love is not supposed to look like that. But we all fall for that. We not just fall for it. We fall prey to it.
Yes.
We fall prey to it because consistency is an amazing thing. Consistency is an amazing thing, and it is a necessity. Consistency is a necessity in relationship, especially marriage. But here's the kicker: you could be consistent in the bad things.
Oh, for sure.
Right? You can consistently be a jerk. You can consistently be a jackass. Period. Let's just keep it a buck. Like you can consistently treat me wrong. But if there are people who have been so used to inconsistencies, and that has brought about angst and anxiety and so forth and so on, then consistency is welcomed. Even if you are consistently treating me wrong.
Right. And not to say we were treating each other wrong.
Oh, yeah. It's an exchange.
Yeah,
it's an exchange.
Looking back, we were treating each other wrong.
It's an exchange because if he wasn't loving you, you certainly ended up, you eventually stopped loving him. But again, consistency, you guys stayed. And not just consistency, but comfort.
Exactly.
People find comfort in dysfunction.
Because by this time I've been with him for so long.
Yeah. It was comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's weird to say, right? How is sleeping on the bed of nails comfortable? Well, the first night it ain't gonna be.
Right.
Second night probably not, right? But eventually you start to adjust your posture and how you sleep to get poked less.
Right.
And so now you just on this bed of nails. And it's become comfortable. So much so that when you get a silly posturepedic, you can't sleep on that bad boy.
Right.
Because you've gotten used to the neck. You're going somewhere, but you're talking good, babe. Listen, we have to be careful.
It's real.
It is. We got to be careful of the things that we allow to remain on us. We have to be careful of the things that we remain in because of comfort. Well, because of familiarity.
And you know, and you know, I mean, of course, I ain't giving out names or nothing. But when we finally did break up, we, you know, we were able to be friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like,
Was there relief?
I know for me it was. I don't know. I don't know for him, but I know for me it was. But it's like, and I even mentioned it to him before. I was like, maybe we should have just stayed friends. Like look how we're acting toward one another now.
I mean,
as friends.
I mean, maybe we should not have embarked upon this journey at all.
Right.
But see, you know what? There's nothing wrong with making that assessment. There is an issue when you make it too late.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that should be an assessment, again, before we get to the altar. Mm-hmm. Right? Because by the time we get to the altar, we should know that this was what God said.
And guess what? I was on my way.
Baby.
Ooh, I was on my way to the altar.
Baby. I did.
You went there.
I went there.
You went there.
I went there. So I know.
I stopped myself.
Yeah, I didn't. I ran head first into that fire. I mean, butt naked, carrying a can of kerosene. Ran head first into that mother.
Head first.
Because, you know, challenge. That's another story for another day. I've shared that before. But so we're talking about welcome for all those who have joined in so far. Thank you for joining. One thing that we would ask is that as we progress through this conversation, if you wouldn't mind, obviously liking and sharing this with others, and definitely hit us up in the chat. We will be monitoring the chat. So if you have questions, if you got comments, and don't hesitate, please jump in and let us know what's going on. Right? Exactly. Shout out to Pastor Kevin White. What's going on with you this evening, brother? So yes, please feel free to leave your comments. We will definitely react to them, answer questions, so forth and so on. So what we're talking about is loveless marriage. And what Lady B was sharing is the fact that she's been in a loveless relationship, but stayed, and until eventually they left one another. I've been in a loveless marriage, and then eventually got a divorce. The crazy part is, though, we can honestly make the assessment that relationship you were in wasn't always loveless. Right. The marriage that I had previously wasn't always loveless.
Right. Like I said, everything starts out good.
Everything started out good for the most part. Sometimes it don't start out good, but because we want it so bad,
we accept it. Because it'll change.
Baby,
they'll change.
Baby. A lot of us have become professional painters. We Picasso with it. Because we will paint red flags green.
Yes.
And disregard the yellow ones altogether.
Yes.
Altogether.
Caution. We ignored the caution.
For real. And we saw that Instagram, oh man, I can't remember
forgot
his name.
Who it was.
Jason.
The triplets.
The triplets. I believe it was Jason. Yeah. Shout out to them. I mean, their shows are absolutely amazing. Yeah. Their content is dope. Especially Bosley.
Right. But yeah, like he was saying, like we're so caught up in red flags
that we
just skirt past the yellow ones.
But what the yellow
that will prevent us from getting to the red ones.
I mean, especially seeing that yellow means caution. But I'm gonna need you to slow it down. Heed the warning. And we do, like, so just taking it there, like driving, yes, I'm not gonna lie. When I see a yellow, if I'm close enough,
right,
I'm gonna speed up so I can go through it because I don't want to get stopped. But that's what we do in life, and that's what we do in relationships. We start seeing those yellow signals, those cautions, and instead of slowing down and stopping for a moment, baby,
we're gonna step on the gas,
lean in that mode. You tell everybody,
right,
because we don't want to stop. We don't want to stop. And the problem is when you're in a loveless relationship, if you don't see those yellow flags and take a moment to pause, because that's what the stop is. It's just a pause.
Right.
Take a chance to pause and evaluate what's going on. You are going to end up running that red light and either end up in an accident or you're going to keep barreling down that road towards devastation. And we can't do that. Loveless relationships are dangerous. And again, we can almost quantify or define what we're perceiving as love do as well, right? Because sometimes it would never love to begin with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Val Ministries. What's going on? Pastor Gary Smith out in Atlanta. Even when you go through the yellow light, you thought you made it. Yeah, it'd be a ticket in the mail. I mean, and then say you didn't. If we look at it, that would be God's way of saying, watch what you're doing. Big facts, brother.
But we don't take heed.
Big facts. We don't take heed. We don't take heed. Because, I mean, you go through that yellow light and that mug catch you. Yeah, there's going to be a receipt.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be a receipt.
Right.
But what's really dope is
he said I lost
volume. You lost volume. Oh, let's see. Hopefully that comes back. Can you hear me now? Definitely let me know if you can hear me now. Okay, so yeah, the thing is though, even with those receipts, it's like we have to seriously evaluate those things. When you get a ticket, that was your warning,
right, to
not do it again. But there's a lot of folks that got, I'm talking about a little pamphlet worth of tickets,
right?
So yeah, wow. So we've talked about, thank you, Pastor Kevin. We've talked about love before, by way of an amazing, awesome. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
By way of Paul Tripp's Love Devotional. And Paul Tripp's Love Devotional, there are 24 love is statements. 24 love is statements. Awesome. Thank you, Pastor Gary. And so we're not going to go through all of them, of course. But if we're talking about being in loveless marriages or a loveless relationship, so being devoid of love, well, then we would need to know what love is supposed to look like, right? Because some of us may not really understand what that looks like, right?
Sure.
So just a few for instances, and I'll actually start from the bottom and go to the top. So just number 24 real quick, of the love is statements from the Paul Tripp devotional. Love is daily admitting to yourself, the other person, and God, admitting to yourself and the other person and God, that you are unable to be driven by a cruciform love without God's protecting, providing, forgiving, rescuing, and delivering grace. Essentially, what he's saying is you have to acknowledge daily. I have to acknowledge daily that I cannot love Lady B as Christ loves the church, that he gave himself for it, without knowing that it is only by God's grace. It is only by God providing. It is only by God's forgiveness. It is only by him constantly rescuing me, right? It is only in those ways and me being fed by him with that I can then give you that kind of love. Mm-hmm. If you're in a loveless marriage or loveless relationship, is that person being filled?
Right.
Right? Because it sucks to be there, but let's kind of go beyond the pain of the moment and look at the cause, right? What happened to you that love's not there anymore so that you can't share that with me? You understand what I'm saying? So have you ever been in a space where just life was lifing, right? And you just either got within yourself or got down or got, dare I say, depressed, right? And you just weren't able to give it. And because of that, it did start to diminish because there wasn't an exchange.
Not on my end.
Okay.
Because I will say in all of my so-called relationships,
tests and trials come to make you strong. That's the book. That's the book.
In all of my so-called relationships, I have been that person. Trying to make it work, giving it my all, wondering what's wrong with me, when in fact now I know it was all you, boo boo. It was all you. Sorry, did I keep it too real?
No, that is.
Oh, okay.
That is what's up. Not you with the boo boo on it though. You, sir. It was you.
It was all you.
If you didn't know, it was you.
Okay, Casey.
I mean, it was all you.
Right.
And sometimes it is. Even if it's unfairly assessed in that way.
Yeah.
It is though. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, because we can say, even just with disagreements, it was you that caused the problem. Okay, but so what does that change? Right? There's still a problem, and I can assess that maybe it was me and it actually wasn't you. But if my perception is that it was you, then it was you.
It was you. I mean,
Then what are you gonna do? But what we can do is try to really, spin the block on it and come back to where we're supposed to be, right? Again, loveless marriages, if you are with your design, I am with who God designed for me. I fervently, thoroughly believe that. I've embraced it, and that is how I walk and navigate with Lady B and her with me.
well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but let me ask you this. You know, because we're still new. You know, we're newlyweds, new relationship. You know,
Ish.
we're new.
Ish.
Do you think? I mean, I for a fact know that we'll always be like this.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah, for
like I don't feel this is just because we're new and we're so in love and everything's perfect.
Right.
But later on down the road,
Yeah.
like I don't feel that's gonna be us.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I would say I can without a shadow of a doubt unequivocally say that is not what's going to happen to us. Number one, because it's not in our heart to do, especially towards one another. And number two, our innate intentionality towards loving one another. You know what I mean? Like it is innate in us to be intentional about being loved by one another. So
He does, Pastor White.
oh, absolutely,
He
I do.
does.
I do. There's been a bunch of times, man, where I'd come out of the office and I'm like, huh? She's like, what? I'm like, you called me, didn't you? No, I didn't call you. Could have swore I heard, babe. Could have swore I heard it. And that is such an amazing thing. And I believe that God allows that to happen because, you know, for real, it doesn't fall far from our biblical example, right? The word says, my sheep know my voice. We are attached. I know my voice. I know how I sound in my head. And if we're one, now your voice is in here too. So it stands to reason that I would hear you, even if she ain't called you. That's when you know that God is in your marriage.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen. Especially, I'm gonna keep it a book, especially when, you know what I mean, because the flesh is the flesh, and the enemy likes to get at us wherever and however he can. Mm-hmm. When your mind starts to run for a minute and you're sitting lingering, idle, and you're like, you know what, do a quick little internet search, ain't gonna hurt nothing. Ain't might doing nothing. Just gonna listen. The Bible says He will give you a way of escape. Me hearing your voice, I'm gonna keep it a whole stack. Me hearing your voice in my head has literally jarred me or jerked me out of crazy, like even if it was for a split second, flesh moment.
Right.
Like, what? You know what I'm saying? And I thank God for that. I thank God for that because we all want to be in a space where we are honoring Him. Mm-hmm. And it's not just us singularly, but collectively. I have to also honor God with, you better say that, Pastor, for real, man. You have to honor God with your marriage. And I really do. If there's ever been a time where I've fallen, even if it was for a split second, I'm like, man, come on, dude. Come on. Not only will God be disappointed in you, you got a whole wife. What are you doing? Right? So we don't have to be ashamed of the struggles.
Right. Because
even the
there's going to
temptations.
be some.
Right. But also don't be ignorant to the escape.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if there's a yellow light, slow it down. Slow it down.
It's yellow for a reason.
It is yellow.
It's yellow for a reason.
It's yellow for
Let's
a
not
reason.
ignore it. Let's not ignore it.
Come on now. Why would they pick yellow as caution? I mean, I'm not gonna go there because I could take.
I know,
you know what I mean?
I
We
know.
have the sun. Like, okay,
Right,
I ain't gonna
right,
go there.
right.
What's more recognizable than yellow? Okay, so I'm pretty sure there's something scientific to it, unless you're colorblind. Is there? I don't know if anybody's yellow colorblind. I know there's people that are like red, blues, but yellow.
Right.
Anyway, I ain't gonna go there. That's why I am leaving the house with my wife would say.
That's why when I leave
Oh,
the
that's
house.
why when I. Okay, sorry. Lord, the screen a little far away. That's right. Yes, absolutely. Yes, God got you, and He does. And so another of Paul Tripp's love statements is, love is what we were talking about, right? Sacrifice. This is number 21. Love is the willingness to make regular and costly sacrifices for the sake of a relationship without asking for anything in return or using your sacrifices to place the other person in your debt.
Wow.
Just like if you're in a loveless relationship, a loveless marriage, you almost put a debt on that person. And that debt is the love you're expecting. And so like a dog on a bone, like a bill collector, right? I'm going to keep calling you for this.
Right.
I'm going to keep calling you for this because you owe me that. Right. So sometimes we'll stay in loveless relationships because it's like you should have given it to me. And since you didn't, you owe me. And I'm going to stick around till you give it to me.
Now we both going to suffer. Now we're both going to suffer.
I'm going to stay right here until you give me
Right.
what you were supposed to give me. Another thing that happens in loveless relationships is what Pop calls the 25-5.
Okay.
The 25-5 rule. Or it's not necessarily a rule. I think he called it like a narrative, a 25-5 narrative. And that is that there will be 25 days of absolute hell and 5 days of heaven.
Wow.
And we get so used to the 25 days of hell that we deal with it because the reward is the 5 days of heaven. And so in hopes of those 5 days coming around.
So let's endure all those days of hell.
I'm going to do a 25 days because I know them 5 days of heaven is on the way. It's on the way.
That's not
love.
That's not love. That's not healthy. That's
At all. It's extremely toxic.
Yeah.
Extremely toxic.
Yes.
And cyclical. That's the thing. It's cyclical. It does not stop there. It's systemic. It will constantly happen. 25-5, 26-5, leap year.
Right.
20, 27. It doesn't matter. It will continue
Until the 5 is gone.
until the 5 is gone. And then by then, shoot, you done probably stopped even wanting the 5.
So what about, because I've heard this, and I usually the times I've heard it, it's been from men.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only there. I'm only in this. I'm only still married because of the kids. Child.
First of all, let's.
But wait, let me.
Okay,
because
because I'm about to go in. I'm about to go in.
Let me go back. So you're unhappy in your marriage. You're seeking attention from other women outside of your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of just leaving,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got to be here for my kids. That's the only reason I'm still there. Do she know that? Number one.
Well, here's the thing. We can say one or two things. Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
If he's good at disguising care
Right.
with love. Right?
Mm.
Because you care about the kids.
Right.
It has nothing to do with love.
You might care about her.
You might care about her.
Right.
Because you can care about somebody
And not love.
them.
Right.
So, or she knows it, has seen it, but has accepted it because of the security of it. Because of the familiarity of it. Because of the consistency of it. So, love statement number 20. Love is staying faithful to your commitment to treat each other with appreciation, respect, and grace, even in moments when the other person doesn't seem deserving or is unwilling to reciprocate. When you get to that point where there has been so much angst, so much aught, so much, back and forth, so much turmoil that you guys are no longer even giving respect and grace and appreciation to one another, we got a problem. But here's the thing, let's keep it a buck, men. For those that have stayed because of the kids, especially if they're younger, you ain't stayed because of the kids. Be real. You stayed because you don't want to pay child support. Let's keep it a buck.
And my mom used to say this, and it's a song. My mom used to say it, cheaper to keep her. Cheaper to keep her.
You done come this far, why quit? Well, I might as well just stay here and deal with what I got to deal with, but I'm also going to get mine on the side. Right? What I'm not getting from you, I will get from somewhere. And what you would get from me if I did leave, you ain't going to get.
Right.
Because I'm staying. No. No.
Right.
No. And like I said, let's keep it a whole buck. A lot of times that is what it is. You're not staying for the well-being of the kids. Mm-hmm. You're staying for the well-being of your wallet.
Right. So you're just being spiteful.
Well, the thing is, you're being honest, though.
Yeah, honest.
Right?
True.
But at the same time, you're also looking at this from an extremely selfish perspective.
Right.
It is insane for us to think that staying in a toxic marriage where there are children involved, especially small children, that it is good for you to remain for their sake. That is insane, because I truly feel that once they are able to understand, which may not take very long at all, because God can give babies understanding.
That's right.
They will know that I'd rather have a healed, whole one parent,
right, than
two absolutely shattered and broken ones in the house. Mm-hmm. I'd rather have dad calm and collected, and I can get from him, I can experience moments with him and get that love from him. I'd rather have dad like that than to see the one that don't got time for me because he been spending all his day at work and all his night fussing with mom.
Right.
How does that help them? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, that's an absolute fallacy. It really is. No, I'm just staying for the kids because they need two parents in the home.
Right. I don't want my child growing up without both of their parents.
They already grown up without both their parents.
Thank you.
That's already happening because it's loveless. And now who's going to receive the backlash of that? Who's going to end up having the residue of that on them? Matter of fact, who's going to end up repeating what you're doing? That's the thing right there.
Those babies.
Kids are sponges.
Yes.
And mirrors.
Yes.
They are going to soak up what you do and reflect what you do. You stay in that relationship if you want to without doing a solid evaluation and figuring out just what the heck y'all need to do to heal and get better for the sake of the kids. Next thing you know, when they get older, don't get to looking at them sideways and crooked when
Right.
they about to go through a divorce because of unreconcilable differences. I'm saying, don't.
He's so crazy.
don't be looking.
That's true though. That's true.
Because you did it. Like, let's be real. It wasn't the child, now adults, or their mate. You did that because you put that there.
Yep.
Because you did not get out of it and then show them how to heal. That's one of the greatest lessons you can ever give to a child. Not just love, not just how to survive, not just who God is, but how you heal. That's what, I mean, come on now. So I had stumbled across this, babe, and I think you saw when we were preparing, and it's a message that I would say to you. I haven't given it to you, obviously, but I would say it to you. And so this is a message that I would urge us to say to each other, but specifically men, for you to share with your wives. You would want to share a message like this, and it doesn't have to be these exact words, but the sentiment is what I'm talking about, right? The sentiment. Excuse me. It goes like this. Let me where my camera at? Where my camera? Where we at, Lady B? Ah, there we are. It goes like this. No marriage is perfect. This means that there are going to be times where the arms that are supposed to be there to hold you and comfort you and protect you from this harsh world aren't the arms you feel like seeing, especially when they seem to be attached to that same harsh world they're supposed to be protected from. When that happens, let God's arms stand in their stead. No marriage is perfect. And this means that sometimes the man you call bae, the man you desire to hold you through the night, is the man you want to see or deal with at the time. So let God represent that one you gave that name to in those moments, and in those moments, right? This should they arise, because you should never have to go to bed without your arms, or those loving arms being around you. No marriage is perfect, but we should perfectly love on one another to the perfection we seek in God. To the perfection we seek in God. No marriage is perfect. No marriage is always going to feel like it is steeped in love every single moment. Me and Lady B have love for one another, so love remains, love is there, love is a part of our everything. Love is who we are. Love is who we are to one another. We haven't necessarily fully experienced the I love you, but I don't really like you right now. Right? Not in its totality.
Right.
But when that happens, okay, cool. All right. Because we're not always going to be vibing.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean we're not always connected. We are always connected because of our love. B hasn't really done anything yet that I can be like, okay, I love you, but I don't like that.
He said yet.
Yeah. I'm gonna be real about it.
I mean, that's real.
I don't foresee, and I ain't looking for nothing. Right. I don't know the future. But and we're human, right? But that's the thing. Even if I don't like you in the moment, that doesn't take away the love. And that's what we have to understand, because sometimes we can, to the flip side of what you're saying, babe, sometimes we can think we're in a loveless relationship because it's actually likeless in that moment. You know what I'm saying? You're not vibing. You guys don't really like each other right now, but that doesn't mean you don't love each other. Right? So that's when we have to kind of look. That's why you have to analyze what's going on. You need to assess. Because you can very well be in a situation where y'all just ain't vibing. That doesn't mean you don't love one another.
Sure. Because life be lifing, and stuff happens. Life happens. Things happen.
Bae, first lady. First lady was almost about to. I was gonna have to hit the beep on you, wasn't I? Yeah, yep. I know it, cause I heard it. It almost crept up on you, didn't it? No, faith and fire. Okay, faith and fire. Not called out, people. Faith and fire.
Right. We're on a different platform tonight. This is Friday night.
Okay. Faith and fire can get wrong. Okay, and it can because that's the other side of us. Like for real. You called out is a part of us. Faith and fire is a part of us. Right. It's who we are, and faith and fire, even though called out is about the pure unadulterated word of God and the truth of his word and his love for us and truth in instances and moments, it's still, there's a clear space. But when it comes down to faith and fire though, same thing. It's all about God, but we are going to be real about us too.
Keeping it real.
We keeping it real on them. Hey, listen, okay, so here's the thing. Pastor Kevin put in the chat, say that again about not liking each other. For real, because we do have to understand that we are not always going to like one another. Here's the other part. We got to understand that we have the propensity, right? The propensity to push buttons.
Continue.
We have the propensity to push buttons because we want a reaction, right? And we're hoping to get a specific reaction. I always warn against people thinking that things are done maliciously right out the gate, right? Mm-hmm. I truly feel like sometimes it is not done maliciously. It's because you want reaction,
right?
Thereby you're wanting the attention. You're wanting to get my attention for a reason,
right?
And it's usually very, very specific. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, we will, we'll do a little jab because I know this is gonna get your attention. I'm not gonna like that, but am I gonna take a moment after I deal with the fact that that was irritating for a hot second, mm-hmm. but am I going to really be like, okay, well, what was that though? Like, why did you do that? You know what I'm saying? Were you really trying to hurt my feelings? Because if you love me, you weren't.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you love me, you weren't trying to purposefully hurt my feelings.
Why would you set out to do that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what you ended up doing, the action that you took, certainly got my attention. Why did you get it that way? You know what I'm saying? And that's where we should ask questions. We should ask questions. And me and B, we do that a lot. Like, we will ask, we will talk to each other.
Oh, yeah, that's one thing about me. I'm going to ask and ask and ask.
You know what? Hey, Pastor Kevin.
That's me.
Yeah. So, yeah, online, probably. But in life, that's Lady B. That's Lady B. You ain't have to put me out there like that, though, Doc. I really try not to. She says my eyes are big.
They are. I always tell him to, especially when he's speaking passionately about something. I always tell him to lower his eyes when he talks to me. So yeah, he don't do much rolling because they just be open.
Whatever.
That's my baby.
Whatever. Into way. So yeah, that definitely happens. Apostle McClendon, what is going on, sir? What is so valuable when you're in the place of not liking? Let choice be the main menu to avoid the land drawn out.
I think it was
long drawn out question. Yeah, I mean that certainly makes a lot of sense. That certainly makes a lot of sense. The thing is, again, love is something that is supposed to be constant. Love is supposed to be consistent.
And easy.
That's
And
first.
easy.
Okay, so yeah, before we jump to another love statement here, love, my beautiful people, is not hard.
And that is something that my husband taught me. I remember when we first started talking, and you was like, it doesn't have to be hard. It's not supposed to be hard. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Because looking back, once again, all those so-called relationships, baby, them things were hard.
I mean,
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
the sister was struggling.
I'm saying. Now, embarking upon a love journey can present itself, it can present some challenges, but those are usually going to be, dare I say, personal challenges, right? Sometimes those challenges are personal. They're not a challenge that was presented by the person that you love or that you are embarking upon this love journey with, but they're challenges that you need to overcome to continue on that journey, right? But yeah, that's absolutely something me and Lady B talked about. Like, no, love does not have to be hard.
Right.
Loving someone does not have to be hard.
Right.
But there is hard and challenging are two different things, right? When we think something is hard, we are already setting within our minds subconsciously that this is insurmountable. This is Mount Everest, and I ain't got the equipment. I can't do this, right? Because it's hard. But if we quantify it as challenging, then we're usually like, you know what? I mean, I may not like it. You know, it may be a little tough, but we'll make it happen.
And if love begins to be so difficult, then you need to do some reevaluating. Because
yes,
we probably ain't meant to be together.
I mean. Oh, no worries, Pastor. No worries. Blessings to you too, brother.
Hello.
Pastor Kevin said, when two are flowing, yes, love is
Absolutely.
easy. Absolutely. When two are when flowing, love is easy. And you know what? Great point. When two are flowing together, loving is easy. When two are not flowing together, you guys aren't vibing with one another. Loving can seem challenging. But again, if we're really looking at love as what Christ told us in Ephesians and what agape love means from God's example, then there is no hard. We have a God who loved us so much, regardless of who we have become, who we evolved into, who we devolved into, regardless of how many times we've fallen, no matter how many times we've been hard and disobedient, still loved us enough to give his son. So no, I don't buy. I can't stand on love is hard.
Right.
Ever. I can't, because of the example that we have. Do we make things challenging? Yes. Do we make things difficult? Yes. But love within itself and loving the way God told us to, loving one another, especially in marriage, loving the one that God designed for you is not hard. It is super easy.
And beautiful.
It is.
Beautiful.
It is. And this ain't no, here's the thing. We're not talking some, pie in the sky, peaches and cream type stuff, right? Because again, there are going to be times when you're just not vibing, right? There's going to be times when you may not like each other in that moment, but that ain't got nothing to do with love.
Right.
Love still remains because love knows how to get past the dislike.
And let's talk about why we don't like each other right now.
Because if we love each other, we're going to do that.
Right. We're
going to have that conversation.
Right.
We're going to chat about it. Somebody better mention it. Exactly. Because what will happen is if that remains, then you can start to degrade love. Right? It'll start to break down. It will start to erode because you're letting things linger. Mm-hmm. Don't let nothing linger. No. Let's go to the chat real quick.
No.
Mac, what is happening, brother? Mac Anderson, what is going on? I feel that in a marriage or a relationship, that people don't disagree or argue to be malicious, but to simply
Absolutely.
be heard.
Absolutely.
Bruh, man, say it for the people in the back. I'm telling you, that is usually what happens. It is not because I can't stand you or nothing like that. It's because I've been trying to get it out, right? And you haven't heard me in the way I've been trying to get it out.
Right.
So now I got to do this so I can be heard. Absolutely. Absolutely. Apostle McClendon, no vibes together. We must choose the right thing to usher the spirit of love into the room. Absolutely. Remove pride.
Remove pride. Yes.
Man,
that part.
Pride. Man. And it's on both sides. Again, it's really weird that pride is usually something that is equated to men.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and not women.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. No, we both move in pride.
Yeah.
And usually manipulation is, equated to women or espouse to women and not to men. And it's just like, no, men do it too. We both do both of those things.
Exactly.
I mean, come on. Pastor Kevin said, two imperfect beings living in an imperfect world. Right? Mm-hmm. That's true. And understanding that, true love will allow you to understand that. It will allow you to see that you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. So we're going to have some flaws.
Right.
We're going to have some moments where we didn't get it quite right. But love, right? Because God is love.
Yes.
You can exchange love and put God right there. But God. Mm-hmm. But God. We ain't vibing today, but God.
Right.
We ain't vibing today, but love. It has to remain. It has to remain. I'm glad you made that statement. Yeah, love will bring on challenges.
Absolutely.
It certainly will. Oh, man, I appreciate it. I think the couples will dislike each other as much as they love each other. Man, hey, now let's keep it a buck. That can't happen, right? If we're talking about the exchange of life, yes, because if there's in exchanges, there should be balance, and in life there is balance. Yes, there's going to be times where, if we really looked at it, right, there have been times where maybe there was a small instance where, okay, there was a little irritation, but at the same time, on the other side of that, there's love. Right. Yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right, bro. There are definitely that, and again, but dislike don't mean dislove. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. Right. Pride in men, stubbornness in women. Well, here's the thing. I do not disagree, however, we can flip that again, right? Pride in women, stubbornness in men, right? It definitely can go. Yeah, the truth of the matter is it happens on both sides of the coin and in both ways. Does one sex flow in one of those veins a little more than the other? Sure. Right. We can say that. But it applies to both. And here's the thing. There are a lot of men that are way more stubborn than women. Yes. And there are a lot of women who are way more prideful than men. And here's why I say that. Because a man's stubbornness will say, let's say me and Lady B are having an exchange, and I've talked about this before, or I notice that Lady B is a little quiet. Because I want answers. There's a stubbornness about me, right? It's not persistence. It's stubbornness, right? There's a stubbornness about me that just won't let it go, right? Because stubbornness is usually, I'm going to sit here on it, and I'm not letting it go, right? And so we can do that with an exchange. I'm going to rest in, you got to give me answers, and I'm not going to let that thing go. Right. Well, at the same time, there could be a space where your pride, because I don't want to give you the satisfaction of answering you right now because I don't like you right now. Well, that's a prideful position. And it's a stubborn position, but it's a prideful position too, right? So it definitely can go both ways, and it usually does. Having those imperfections that make something uniquely wonderful, yes, it really does. Yep, I want to know. Hey, listen, if we're honest, for real, again, if we're honest, we recognize that in ourselves, that we have all flowed in those jacked up
Absolutely.
moments, right? Because being prideful within itself, not good, right? Being stubborn within itself, not
Right.
good. And there are moments where we've done that. But again, if there's love, if love is what is driving you in that marriage, if love is what propels you to get up and to sacrifice for one another freely without expecting anything in return, love covers a multitude of sins. That's the book, right? A multitude of wrongs. Love keeps no receipts, right? It keeps no account of wrong. If I know that there's something in B that is, let's say, stubbornness, okay? If I know that that's there and I know it could be triggered, well, love is going to cultivate an atmosphere where you don't have to move that way.
Right.
Because let's be honest, pride and stubbornness, and again, these negative facets of how we deal with one another, how we handle one another, are triggered moments.
Absolutely.
Those are triggered responses. If you wake up and just choose violence right out the gate,
Hey.
without being triggered, what triggered you? You just got up. You just you ain't brushed the
You
tooth
ain't
yet,
even wiped the crust out your eyes.
and you already choosing violence. No, you crazy. You need Jesus.
Right.
You need Jesus. Now, if I done woke up and stubbed my toe, you know what I'm saying? And then from there,
Everything else just goes downhill.
This is a whole
Right.
trickle down effect to the rest of
Right.
the day. I'm gonna tell you, you still need Jesus, right? Because if you're stubbing your toe, jack up your entire day, there's a problem. But I can understand
Right.
that, right?
Right.
I got you.
Right.
There was a trigger, and then other things just kept compiling on, right? Piling on it. So that's the thing. These negative emotions are something that are emotions that are usually triggered in us. So if we are together, men and women together, cultivating and nurturing an environment that makes the other almost makes the other it makes it impossible for them to flow in any of those negative ways. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm really loving you, in its totality, right? Speaking your love language, depositing into your love account, right?
Them deposits. We're gonna have to get on that.
Yeah, that's next Friday.
Yeah, we got to.
Next Friday we're gonna talk about deposits. Don't forget, babe.
Okay.
Oh, she has an amazing memory. Thank God for her having an amazing memory. Don't forget, next Friday we're gonna talk about the love deposits. My God, that's yeah, faith and fire. It's gonna
Friday night.
It's gonna get real. So yeah, if we're cultivating and nurturing those spaces, then you are placing the other in the prime position to flourish and flow with you. And that's what's really dope about loving the way God loves. It's almost crazy. It's almost crazy to think of it this way, but it's kind of selfish. It's kind of, did you flow with me for a second? It's kind of selfish because if I love Lady B the way I'm supposed to, the way she needs, I'm going to get something in return.
A lot.
I'm going to get a lot in return. So I'm going to keep dumping. So I keep getting.
Because you know.
Because I know.
Right. If I keep doing this, I'm going to get this and this.
I'm saying.
And this.
So sometimes, I mean, for real, loving like we supposed to love can kind of be a selfish act. But if we're both doing that.
Right.
If we're both doing that with each other.
We're both winning.
Come on now.
We're
Both winning. Both winning. Apostle McClendon, it is good to know that we have the reset button within us. Yes, sir.
Amen.
What does Ephesians 1:11 say? Come on, put that in the chat for me, Doc. Ephesians 1:11.
I know. What about it?
Hold on. It's right here, but I'm going to pull it up on my phone. Praise God for technologies. All right, here we go. Ephesians. Which one did he say, babe?
1:11.
Ephesians 1:11. Ephesians 1 verse 11. This is out of the NIV. In him we were also chosen, having been predestined according to the plan of him who works out everything in conformity with the purpose of his will. Man, I like that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Amazing passage. Thank you, Doc. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Let me see. I think we have just a couple more points, and then we're going to get out of here. We're trying to make sure
so
that we
can
keep
continue our Friday night.
I mean, in love.
In love.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. All right. So let me see. Okay. Yeah. I'm there. Yeah. I think we're going to drop that on you real quick. Yeah. There was another thought that I had around love, babe, but I can't think of it right now. It's okay. So yeah, this is what we'll do. We are going to close, beautiful people. Our past relationship wasn't in his will. Brother, listen.
And thank God it was.
Listen. Desire can be dangerous.
Yes.
Dangerous. And what's really dangerous about desire is the fact that God tells us he will give us the desires of our heart. But we know what the word says about that. The heart is above all deceitful and desperately wicked. Desperately wicked. But God said he'll give you the desires of that.
I'm gonna give it to you.
Because of how much he loves us. Now, sometimes I'm going to show you, though. I'm going to show you. I was chatting with my brother earlier, and one thing that I realized is that as we grow, especially as we grow in love, let's look at love as seasons or stages. Sometimes we're going to grow before we get to. Sometimes we're going to grow before we get to. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we'll grow so we can go to the next level, so we can get into the next season. So there has to be growth before we get there. But there are going to be moments where God gets us there, takes us there, puts us there so we can grow.
Right.
So we can grow. And if you honestly think about it, that's truly what the pattern is, because if you look at the past season, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
You may have thought you had grown to get to that next season, or you had grown to be in the season that you're in, and now you're going to grow right here so you can go into the next one. No, in all actuality, you're being grown, you're being pruned, you're being produced, you're being refined right now. Because this is where you are, so that you can sustain where you are, progress where you are, grow where you are, so that when you go here,
right,
you can grow again. So the growing that we do is always forward. You don't grow backwards. You grow forwards. So we have to understand that growing is done forward. Growing is done upward. Aside from roots, right? Roots obviously grow deeper. But that's our connectivity to God in that instance. But we grow forward. We don't grow backwards. So here's a wonderful, it's kind of like a poem, essentially, from Roy T. Bennett. This is from The Light in the Heart. The Light in the Heart. It's called Don't Just. So as we've been talking about a loveless marriage or loveless relationships and things of that nature, discussing love, and thank you all to all of you who have been on, who have been commenting. Shout out to you. Appreciate it. So good to see you, my brother Mac. Man, I miss you. Next time we're in the note, gotta see you. Pastor Kevin White, shout out to you, my brother who is online with us Tuesday, Thursday, right? Thank you so much, brother. And Pastor Apostle Octavian McClendon, thank you, sir, for popping in as well.
Shout out to my girl, Casey.
Casey was on up in here.
Thank you for joining in.
Appreciate you, Casey. And, hey, cannot and will not neglect to shout out the pastor who married us in Roanoke, Virginia. Come on, man. Come on. Pastor Gary Smith out of Atlanta
Of
Avow
Avow
Ministries.
Yes.
Appreciate you,
big
man,
shout out.
for being on.
Yes.
But yes, please again you subscribe to our YouTube channel and then share this. If you felt like there was anything said this evening that would be a blessing to someone else, please do. And later, if something else comes to mind after you watch this again, which I hope you do, leave those comments as well. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know how you feel, and share with us what you got from our exchange this evening. We're so grateful for you. So going back to this, don't just. Again, as we look at loveless relationships, loveless marriages, likeless relationships, likeless marriages, we do have to understand that this is a separate action, right? We can take separate action to affect the collective. Separate actions to affect the collective. A giver and a taker create a neurotic relationship. Neurotic. There's somebody always giving, somebody always taking. That's extremely neurotic. A taker and a taker is a psychotic marriage. Two people constantly taking and nobody ever refilling is psychotic. But a giver and a giver, that's exotic. That's me and Lady B.
That's us.
A giver and a giver, that's an exotic marriage. And that's what you want. You want to. I'm always trying to beat Lady B in giving to me. And she's always trying to beat me in giving to me. It's not a competition, but that's our heart for one another. Right. I want to get lovins on you before you get lovins on me. So I'm up here waking her up, giving her sugars, disturbing her sleep.
Right, at 4:30 in the morning.
At 4:30 in the morning before I go to the gym, because I want to get to you. I want to get sugars on you before you can get them on me.
And that's love. At 4:30 in the morning, your breath be hot.
Hey, but I love kissing on my baby. It's all good.
Eyes crossed. That's love right there.
Man, I don't care. I'm kissing on my baby. So, let's see. I mean, I'm telling you, Pastor, for real. That's and it's love and it's appreciation. I'm gonna keep it a buck. It's still infatuation. I'm infatuated with my baby, absolutely, right? And then we'll have to touch on that too, like the honeymoon phase and
the honeymoon phase is supposed to continue. It is never supposed to die.
So it ain't no phase then.
Honeymoon life.
I mean, come on, honeymoon life.
Life.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we ain't doing no phases.
Okay.
Over here.
Honeymoon life, because we married. That don't mean we don't grow.
Right.
Because there's anniversaries. Come in. There's pins in time where we reflect on.
Duh.
Okay. See, that's why I love my baby. All right. Don't just learn, experience. Don't just read, absorb. Don't just change, transform. Don't just relate, advocate. Don't just promise, prove. Don't just criticize, encourage. Don't just think, ponder. Don't just take, give. Don't just see, feel. Don't just dream, do. Don't just hear, listen. Don't just talk, act. Don't just tell, show. Don't just exist, live. And that's how we should be loving one another. We should be loving one another in opportunities to not just learn, but to experience from one another. Not just to read one another, but to absorb one another. Not just try to change one another, but to transform ourselves so that we're better for one another. I don't want to just relate to my wife. I want to advocate. I want to advocate how she feels. I want to advocate and move her forward, move her into who she's called to be, right? It's not just relating to you. Mm-hmm. I want to push you, right? God in a godly way, right? Right?
Please.
I mean, and of course the promise, right? We always say that, when we get to the altar, right? That is the promise. That's the covenant. But covenant is something that has to be acted upon, right? Covenant, like love, is action. You actively keep the covenant, right? The children of Israel fell out of God's grace because they didn't keep the covenant. So there's an action to it. So don't just promise, prove. you prove that you love, right? You don't just say it, you prove it. Don't just criticize, because there's going to be moments where we will want to do that. But if there's true love, we're not just criticizing one another, we're actually encouraging one another. When we are operating with love and we're not in a loveless situation or a marriage, we don't just think, we ponder. I don't just think about my baby. I ponder on ways to love her better. I ponder on ways to do more for her. I ponder, right? And then, of course, like we said, don't just take, but give. And the thing is, when there's real love, you don't just see, but you feel. I don't just see what Lady B is going through. I feel it. I know when something's going on in her, within her, because I feel it. I don't need to see it. I can feel it. Don't just dream, do. We have a lot of dreams. We've dreamed about doing all kinds of things. But when there's true love and there's intentionality, you don't just dream. You actually do. We're going to do something. We're going to do the things. We may not get to everything, but we're going to do something. Amen. Don't just hear, listen, right? When there is true love, you're not just hearing one another, you're truly listening. I can hear her with my ears, but I listen to her with my heart.
Come on now.
That's how that works, babe. I gotta listen with my heart. Don't just talk, act. See, that's a big thing, especially for men, right? Don't just talk. When there's true love, real love, when you are truly operating and flowing in a love-filled relationship, you don't just talk, you act. Love is an action. You can tell me all you want.
Word.
It's an action word. You can tell me all you want.
You should learn that in school.
I mean, but if you don't do it, then I'm going to start to question what you say. And everything you say after that is going to fall flat.
Because you can talk all day.
You can talk all day. Bible say you ain't nothing but a noisy gong and a clanging cymbal.
Okay.
Because you done spoken tongues and you trying to heal folk and you done all this slobbing, running around the church and all this. But if you ain't got love, and love takes action, then you just blowing smoke. Don't do that. Don't just tell, show. Again, love is an action. I can't just tell, oh, girl, you know I love you if I don't show it.
Exactly.
If I don't show it. Empty words mean nothing. They mean nothing. And then the last one, don't just exist, live. I don't just exist with my wife. I live with my wife. I don't just exist in moments with her. I live in every moment with her. Here's the thing. That's not always easy because life be lifing.
Yeah.
And we end up sitting right next to each other, just kind of existing sometimes because life be lifing. But if we can remember to tap in and actually live in those moments, then you can continue to feel the love that is present. That's the thing. Sometimes it's not that there's no love. It's that there's too much crap going on around us to where we can't feel it. So I would urge you guys to think, pray, and always be seeking God on what you guys can do to better your relationship, better your marriages. And for those that are seeking to be and on your journey to the altar, be in prayer for one another. You can never beat God giving.
Yes.
So always go to him for what you need because he's got you. And it's less about what you want and more about what he wants for you. And if you start to learn how to pray for the other before you pray for yourself, you'll be better off. I promise you. I promise you. So always be praying for your spouse, your future mate. Always be praying for them so that God can move them in the space that they need to be. Because I tell you, kind of selfishly, the more Lady B is being Lady B, the more I get from Lady B. Amen. All right, y'all. Look,
Friday night.
I mean, before I leave the house, I always tell my wife I love her. Absolutely, man. You got to. And I'm giving sugars. All right, y'all. Look, next Friday, we will be right back here, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time live. Again, thank you all so very much for sticking in there with us, for all the comments, for all the love, for all the information. And again, please share this next Friday. What we talking about, babe?
Love deposits.
Love deposits.
Love deposits.
My God. So I hope you guys tune in with us on next Friday for Love Deposits. Listen, tap in with Called Out Ministries. We will be live on Sunday afternoon. Please tap in with us. We got an amazing message coming. I just believe it. Pastor McClendon, thank you so much, sir. Blessings to you as well. Praying for you, brother. And yeah, we love you guys. Tap in with us.